Yo people, welcome back to another video. Now, as we saw from the huge cast that we got given to us by Marvel regarding Avengers Doomsday, there was personally one name that I was wondering if they'd actually add, and he actually failed to show up, and that character is Moon Knight. So for me, Moon Knight was my favorite Disney Plus show and my favorite new character we got from the post-COVID era. Even if the show did have flaws and the end felt a bit rushed, but the character and what we were being given was actually pretty cool. They took a different approach. The character on paper is very unique as they explore themes like mental health and religions, with Oscar Isaac being the main man for this role and in my opinion doing a really good job, easily one of the best actors that the MCU has hired. Now, since the show finished, there's been a lot of rumours about Moon Knight Season 2, will it happen, will it not happen, and it keeps changing. We got a lot of rumours recently coming out saying that Moon Knight Season 2 is not happening, which people thought it meant he's never coming back. However, I went and did my research. We got an interview with the Marvel television boss, Brad Winderbaum, on Empire magazine last month, and he was asked about a Season 2 of Moon Knight, and he indicated that a Season 2 of Moon Knight isn't on the cards, and I'll give you the quote right now. He says, "I would love to see a Moon Knight Season 2, but there are plans for Moon Knight down the road." So this basically means Season 2 won't be happening as of now, but they are planning to add him probably as a cameo in the future, and I'll talk about that later on in the video. As for Moon Knight Season 1, the show ends with Moon Knight being in his third persona, Jake Lockley, as it was kind of the moment that we finally saw the third persona on screen after all the teases throughout the show. And what we see at the end is Jake was the one working with Khonshu, and the show ends with Jake killing Arthur as they drive through London. Now, based on rumours for Season 2, apparently it was going to focus more on Jake Lockley. Apparently we were meant to see Bushman, who is meant to be Moon Knight's arch enemy and the man that Mark worked for when he was a mercenary, who also happens to be the same guy that nearly killed him right before Mark meets Khonshu for the first time. As for how this character could tie into the MCU in terms of the other characters, we heard that the only real connections that got scrapped in Season 1 was associated to the Eternals, who they themselves are irrelevant as of right now. So Moon Knight really never got the chance to world build with any other characters, and had they have done this with a relevant character in the MCU, that would have guaranteed his ticket into more appearances in the MCU. And even where this show takes place, London, it doesn't really have anything that connects Moon Knight to any of the other characters in the MCU, so it's kind of stuck on an island by itself. However, there are still ways for him to appear. So as we saw with Deadpool and Wolverine, the TVA is basically doing this whole Noah's Ark with all the timelines. It's trying to gather the best heroes from their other timelines to unite all of them. And this would explain why from the casting regarding Doomsday, we got to see characters such as the old X-Men making their return. I'm sure Wolverine and Deadpool will also be in Doomsday despite them not being announced. Either Toby or Andrew or both will probably be in Doomsday as well, but obviously Marvel still want to save some surprises for the film itself. They can't just tell you every single person that's going to be in it. So the easiest way to get Moon Knight, if they're not going to do the whole Season 2 thing, is simply get a Moon Knight from a different universe and have him be the new Moon Knight in Avengers Doomsday. I'm not saying he has to have a big role, but just if they're going to include him, even if it's for 2 seconds, that could be one of the ways. And it has to be Oscar Isaac who's playing this character. However, the only problem with adding Moon Knight into Doomsday, or even any project without his Season 2, even as a cameo, is that you probably miss out on that Jake Lockley development that we were meant to get in Season 2. However, you could still spin that storyline and turn it into something similar after this whole Avengers plot is finished. If they go down the Doomsday route, it's really the only way of guaranteeing him appearing in the future, but at the cost of more exploration and character development that we could have got in Season 2, especially if it's a Moon Knight that at this point can control all 3 personas and is more like the finished product. However, there are other options, and ones that I think are less likely but would make more sense, and it's having Moon Knight appear as either a cameo or end credit in the Thunderbolts movie, which is coming up in May, or have him appear in Daredevil Season 2. First of all, this would actually allow his character to be in New York, just like in the comics. I think they could tie Jake Lockley's persona storyline nicely, as they would have a bit more time, especially in the Daredevil show, at the expense of a less in-depth story. But nevertheless, this instantly hypes things up for the ground level MCU and those characters that seem like they won't be in Doomsday because of Spider-Man 4, such as Spider-Man, Daredevil and the Punisher. Personally, I'd take that sacrifice of a less in-depth story because Moon Knight adds a different dynamic to the MCU as a unique character. Also, in terms of going forward, it can create other storylines and other factions such as the Midnight Suns, which could allow for the introduction of characters like Blade. But yeah, as always, let me know your thoughts down below in the comments. Did you like the Moon Knight show? Should they forget the character? What other ways would you have him introduced into the MCU in terms of connecting with other already existing characters? I'd appreciate if you could like the video, sub to the channel, and thank you for your time.